Welcome once again, fellow travelers, traders, pilots, and pirate hunters. On this channel, I discuss the factions that design and build the worlds we explore in our games, movies, and stories. If you're interested in seeing more of that, hit subscribe. Today, I'll be talking about the history and lore of the Vy'Keen. They're warriors and raiders who value strength and courage above all. As a warning, this video contains spoilers for the story of No Man's Sky. Alright, let's get into it. War is not inevitable. This truth is often lost among the countless places it's left its mark. The mark of war is made in memories, things that are no longer there, those who are no longer with us. War is also passing, one way or another, in victory or in defeat. No war can last forever, so we can hope. Defined in the face of all we know about war stand the Vy'Keen and their vigilance against an enemy present in nearly every world, in nearly every system here in this iteration of the simulation. A war that's raged for millennia, and continues to rage still. A war which has transcended the barriers between dimensions and reality. There exists no time, no place, in which the Vy'Keen and the Sentinels are not at war. This has molded their people into the warriors they are today. A war into which we are thrust. A traveler from a distant place and time, we have much to do, but in our time here, we have to hunt and fight, defend and attack. The Sentinels are often our foe as well, and in this, we find solidarity with our Vy'Keen friends. These thoughts rush through our minds as we dive through the clouds, evading fire from Sentinel interceptors hot on our tail. We twist and spin through the air, our allies at our backs, shields flare and spark, and our guns spit death. We punch holes in our enemy's armor, blast them to pieces, yet still they come. They're relentless and unceasing. We fell one, and two more come for us. We destroyed two, and three are now screaming through the stars toward us. In truth, we knew the risks. We fired on their machines, blasted apart their defenses, and without giving our fear a moment's thought, we bank once more and blast another to pieces. If we can't hold them off, we'll be nothing but dust and debris raining down onto the land below. If we are victorious, we'll be greeted by the warriors of the Vy'Keen as kindred worthy of respect. Even one of the hated enemy killed in pursuit of our goal is one less enemy in the galaxy, and for that, the Vy'Keen offer their praise. We very much require their trust, if we want their help. The Vy'Keen are bipedal and possess a body plan not unlike other beings native to the Euclid galaxy. They stand tall, by our own reckoning, at 6 to 6.5 feet, and are strongly built and well-muscled. Despite their size, they possess a slightly hunched posture, with the face protruding prominently forward. The morphology of their faces varies wildly from one to the other, sometimes with 2 to 3 lip-like layers over their mouths, although all can speak the common Vy'Keen language. Some possess bony plates or horns arranged in various ways above the face. These are likely used as weapons in some way, or as protection. Variations in morphology also affect their eyes, which in some strains are located on either side of the head, while others possess forward-facing eyes and prominent brow ridges. Some possess insectoid features, while others have facial features that, to us, are much more emotive. Their skin is generally scaly and can range in color from yellow, red, green, black, and gray. They often have markings on the skin such as spots of color, possibly developed as a form of camouflage on their distant home planet. Their bodies are stout and wide. Some may look to outsiders like they're inconveniently overweight, though this is more often caused by natural armor and heavy built musculature which appears different than our own. They walk with a wide gait and often seem to swagger in their movements. This is likely an affectation taught to them at a young age as a way to show aggression or dominance. Their bodies and the way they move and communicate tell us a lot about their past and about how their culture formed if we're willing to pay close attention. The Vy'Keen's spoken language is made up of quick, sharp syllables spoken at high volume. The nuances of their language, however, are found in their body language, not just their facial expressions, but how they move. A speaker who shrinks back from another when aggression is displayed is seen as lower in esteem, while one who barks orders confidently and holds their stance will be seen as dominant. When speaking to Vy'Keen planet-side, those away from the social niceties of life aboard space stations, the conversation will often open with a physical threat of some kind. To answer with an aggressive reply, a counter-threat, is considered appropriate and will generate respect with the speaker. Vy'Keen not only respect displays of aggression and strength, they value them culturally. This tradition may come from a time when one had to decide to whom their loyalty would be most appreciated and most useful, as well as to who would be best able to help them in return. The honor codes and martial training of the Vy'Keen are more than practical. They're deeply ingrained in the culture, forming the basis for their interactions with others. Whether this stems from their many generations of war with the Sentinels or stretches back further than this is unknown, though their oldest stories, the ones we can discover through exploration and cultural exchange at least, revolve around powerful gods and mighty heroes. Deeds done with honor and strength. These are the things the Vy'Keen value most. Their codes of honor are adhered to by most, and even powerful Vy'Keen will respect a command from one perceived to be of higher rank than they are. The Vy'Keen are native to the Euclid Galaxy. They've traveled great distances and have come to control many systems. But they spread out from the place where they were born and brought their culture with them. The home planet of the Vy'Keen exists somewhere in the outer rim of the galaxy. Much remains unknown to outsiders, save its name. The planet is called Drindarg. We don't know exactly where it is, what it's like, nor if it even still exists, though some inferences can be made. It seems that the grawberry plant may have been a native species on Drindarg. Since this plant only grows on irradiated environments, we can infer that the planet likely had very high ambient radiation. Other hallmarks of irradiated planets that we can observe today would likely have also been present, including pools of radioactive gas, atmosphere dense with radioactive particles, and heavily mutated flora and fauna. Storms observed on highly radioactive planets can be much more dangerous than storms on other biome types. Given the hardy nature of the Vy'Keen, it seems likely that they evolved in a harsh environment. Information obtained by activating a boundary failure leads us to believe that Drindarg, like the home planets of both the Gek and Korvax, contained its own Atlas device capable of simulating realities. The veracity of this information is questionable without further research. The record known as the Last Testament of Herc seems to suggest that mentioning the name of Drindarg is considered taboo and carries a severe penalty. The words of Herc the Great carried great weight in the Vy'Keen culture. He was and is a warrior god of their people, and their creator god as well. He may well have been a living leader in the distant past. Tales of his actions and mentions of him in scraps of history and legend do suggest that this was the case. The Vy'Keen's cultural attitude toward the Sentinels and their war against them have both been attributed to the teachings of Herc long ago. They believe that the Atlas is not a benevolent force, but is oppressive, and that the Sentinels must be wiped out for the good of the galaxy. It is from the teachings of Herc that the Vy'Keen apparently take the idea that they're meant to help the travelers and the anomaly in their quest. The Vy'Keen have felt that their biggest obstacle to following these teachings of Herc was the existence of the Sentinels and their interference. They saw the Sentinels as being not of the natural world, challenging progress and preventing their species and others from moving forward. When exactly the Vy'Keen began their war with the Sentinels is not explicitly clear, though it occurred long, long ago, and there are many accounts and records in which it is mentioned, stretching back into the mists of time. Alternate accounts of the story of Herc suggest that a rival leader, Nal, was favored by the forces of the galaxy, and that Herc, in his jealousy, waged war against Nal and his followers. Nal openly opposed the war with the Sentinels, and was slain by Herc. This may have been the catalyst for a civil war in the Vy'Keen's distant past. More on that later. Following this conflict, the alliance of Vy'Keen led by Herc began their struggle against the Sentinels, which has lasted into the modern era. Herc and his followers demanded separation from the will of the Atlas, as well as destruction of the Sentinels. This particular ideal has been passed into the modern Vy'Keen culture as well, in their general belief that the Atlas is not what it seems. Its words are deceptive, and its motives are malevolent. There seemed no end to the Sentinels, and their endless ability to replicate themselves, and indeed their prevalence in the galaxy today suggests that this assessment was correct. However, there was a time when the Vy'Keen won their war. At least they'd achieved a temporary victory. This time was called the Silence of the Sentinels. This period lasted several millennia. If records from the time are to be believed, though, the Sentinels were not gone. They were biding their time in the outer edges of the galaxy, building strength in preparation for their return. It was during this time that the Gek first spawn invaded and destroyed Korvax Prime, and enslaved any survivors to increase their wealth and fuel their expansionist empire. The Vy'Keen were opposed to this, though they lacked the military strength to intervene after their long battle with the Sentinels. It was for this reason that the first spawn chose to attack when they did, knowing that they could not be stopped. The Sentinels then returned, having been changed by Atlas, or perhaps recreated. The records are unclear. After the Korvax revolt that changed the Gek forever and caused the downfall of the first spawn empire, the Vy'Keen have come to accept peace with modern Gek, though resentment still exists in their long cultural memory. Though much has changed, time has not rid the old conflicts from the hearts and minds of the Vy'Keen. Not completely. There are those who still remember the old stories, and some who remember that the same story can be told from a different point of view. Some Vy'Keen remember not Herc's telling of his time, but Naal's, and they remain loyal to a different set of ideals, and to the truth they believe has been hidden from their people. Naal heard the voice of the Atlas, and Herc did not. The Atlas foretold of Naal's death, that it would be an awakening, and that there was no true death in the simulation, not until the coming of the last traveler, the anomaly. Herc, full of jealousy and rage, struck Naal down. This act has had lasting consequences for the development of those who chose to follow Naal's teachings. Digging deeper into the words of beings like Telamon, a program created by the Atlas to perform security and diagnostic functions, tells the story yet another way. In fact, the Atlas gave visions to both Herc and Naal, though caused one not to see the same visions as the other. Naal accepted the fateful visions while Herc rejected them. Naal would await the destruction of the simulation at the hands of the last traveler while Herc questioned the Sentinels and opposed these ideas. Those Vy'Keen who have remained loyal to the teachings of Naal have formed the Cult of Naal, a group which can be encountered, though they're few in number and often avoid conflict where discovery of their existence could pose a threat to them. Adherence to the teachings of Naal is most often punished by the Vy'Keen High Command. The Vy'Keen, as stated, operate as a military force. Their society is built on a structure of rank and hierarchy, where strength and power are given respect, and the word of those of high esteem and rank are obeyed. A traveler may gain standing with the Vy'Keen in a number of ways, the most obvious of which is to combat pirates and raiders operating within Vy'Keen territory. Relics of the Vy'Keen are indicative of their ideals. Among the most prized are their daggers. These weapons are largely ceremonial, and when discovered, can be given as a gift to other Vy'Keen as a way of earning esteem within their society. These daggers, their blades serrated and angular and stained with blood, can also be delivered to monoliths in Vy'Keen territory as a sacrifice in exchange for the coordinates to a portal. They are scattered throughout the galaxy and can be found hidden in crates and containers located in facilities and on planets. They can be given as rewards for mission work or discovered by frigate expeditions. They can also be obtained through trade. They're often bought and sold by merchants and fetch a good price on the Galactic Trade Network, which can be accessed through trade terminals. Another relic highly prized by the Vy'Keen are their effigies. These appear to be wooden totems carved into the likeness of their greatest enemy, the Sentinels. Vy'Keen warriors use these effigies as objects of focus to enter a trance-like state, which they're able to substitute for sleep. Finding and returning these items to Vy'Keen will also give a traveler standing with the Vy'Keen people. Standing ranks among the Vy'Keen are obviously of a martial nature, extolling the virtues of prowess, strength, cunning, courage, and efficacy in combat. The highest rank obtainable is that of Templar. Ranks in Vy'Keen give those who obtain them rewards with traders and mission priority, though they also allow higher-ranked individuals to give commands to those lower in esteem than they are. A traveler may encounter situations which, if not handled correctly, can escalate into dangerous conflict. With the correct rank and knowing the correct commands, these situations can be de-escalated to the benefit of all involved. The Vy'Keen have adapted to the modern culture of trade and mutual exchange common in much of the Euclid galaxy today, though they retain their respect for martial prowess and war as a proving ground. While the majority of Vy'Keen can be found engaging in trade or providing protection for other pilots and travelers, some have turned to piracy. The illicit nature of pirate life may appeal to those who value a less settled life, one where they can more openly engage in combat and war. The Vy'Keen don't seem to inherently respect this line of reasoning, even if they respect the strength of those who follow it. This is why, even in Vy'Keen-controlled systems, you will be rewarded for preventing piracy. While the Vy'Keen trade in all manner of goods, the technologies for which they're best known are those most valuable to the warrior. Weapons and armor, pulse engines and shields, these are the technologies most developed in territory controlled by the Vy'Keen. Pilots looking for sleek fighter-class ships should go looking for them here, where they're likely to find the highest quality versions of these types of ships. Even when searching for crashed ships and vessels with a particular aesthetic, if you want something that looks fast, powerful, and sleek, go looking in Vy'Keen territory. Vy'Keen merchants are most likely to sell high-quality upgrades for weapon systems as well as high-level shield upgrades. Vy'Keen pilots have mastered combat in most ship classes, though their fighters are second to none. Vy'Keen pilots with strong fighters will make an excellent addition to one's squadron. They also prioritize personal combat ability. It's seen as a great virtue. To this end, Vy'Keen systems are good places to look for powerful multi-tool technology. You can find multi-tools prioritized for damage output and weapon efficiency, as well as additional technologies that increase one's ability to fight. While Vy'Keen are loyal to their ideals and are open to helping travelers in their quests, many will offer additional services for a fee. Among the Vy'Keen one can hire, the armorer can be found on space stations in many systems showing off their wares. A traveler must have a habitable base planetside or on their freighter to hire an armorer, and they must have an overseer and a scientist working for them already. The employer has to then build for them a weapons terminal where they can practice their trade. They'll offer quests in exchange for knowledge that the traveler will require to progress, including technologies that allow them to harvest dangerous plants as well as new technologies such as weapons and armors. Once they've passed on all the knowledge they can, they'll offer additional services in the form of new multi-tools which they'll build once a day and offer to their employer, often needing to be repaired and upgraded to be made useful. Besides weapons and ships, speed over land and water are important in the winning of war. Some Vy'Keen have spent their time mastering the art of crafting and upgrading other vehicles that will give travelers an edge against their enemies. Fighting the Sentinels is much easier when you can blast them with exocraft cannon. You'll have to hire the overseer, scientist, farmer, and armorer, and then build an exocraft terminal on your base or freighter to hire a technician. They can be found in many systems, offering their services for the right price. The Vy'Keen have much to teach us as we pass through their space to reach our goal, whether we do the bidding of Atlas or seek our own path. Their guns and weapons provide us with ways to slay our enemies, and by coincidence, theirs as well. The armor and shields they provide will see us protected from the claws, blades, and guns of our mutual foes. With their pilots at our backs, we can take aim at our targets, knowing that our flanks are protected, and we need not fear a surprise attack. Their relics are reminders of a war begun long ago, and one still raging. Proof that they have come a long way in all that time, but still hold on to their ideals and the honor of their ancestors. The Vy'Keen may challenge us, may draw our blood, or give us cause to defend ourselves from a strike or attack, but in doing so, they test us. Test that we're worthy of trust. If we shrink from their blows, if we can't summon the strength to fight when we must, then what use could we be in their war? And how could we possibly hope to succeed against the monumental challenges that await us in the days ahead? Their friendship is important. We'll not get far without it. Likewise to their wisdom and their knowledge. So if you step foot into this galaxy, prepare yourself. Prepare to strike when you need to show strength, guard when you need to show humility, and raise your glass to show your appreciation. Your new friends are waiting. You'll have to prove yourself. Well, that's the Vy'Keen for you. I want to thank you all for watching. I appreciate everyone who sticks around, especially if you make it to the end. If you like the video, please hit like, and if you don't want to get shaken down by a pirate for protection money, hit subscribe. If you want to discuss the subject, or think I missed anything, let me know in the comments down below. Oh, and before you go, I want to give a shout out to my patrons who help support the channel. Our $10 patron is Watuki at the artisan level. If you want to get your name in the credits, head on over and sign up. The Patreon link is in the description. You'll get access to an exclusive Discord and some exclusive art and stories that you can use or discuss and contribute to. And remember, if a Vy'Keen warrior asks you a question, punching them in the face is almost always a valid answer. Thank you all for coming. Bye, Internet.